The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was carved from crystal and metal. It floated in orbit above Assyrian Prime, the moon that served as the heart of galactic diplomacy. Inside, voices in many languages echoed through the tall chamber. Alien leaders from 100 worlds sat in curved rows, facing a glowing center where decisions about peace or war were made. At the center, Commander Val-Zur stood tall and motionless. His silver skin shimmered under the council lights. He spoke in a calm, sharp tone. "Humanity," he said, "is a rising threat." A murmur moved through the chamber. Val-Zur lifted one hand. A large image flickered in the air. It showed human mining ships digging into a forbidden asteroid, territory protected by ancient law. Again and again, Val-Zur continued, "Humans ignore our rules. They expand without understanding. They build weapons. They fight among themselves. One day their chaos will spill into our worlds." Several council members nodded. Others remained silent, watching. "We must strike now," he said, "before they become too dangerous." A voice from the other side of the chamber interrupted. It was Elder Riss, a three-eyed being with folded blue skin. "We agreed never to attack a species without offering a chance to speak," she said. "Send a representative. Let them defend their place." There was a long pause. Then the High Speaker of the Council, a being of light and shadow, gave a slow nod. "Very well," the speaker said. "One human will be allowed to speak before us. Their words will decide their fate." Far across the galaxy, on Mars, a sandstorm blew against the domes of the capital city. Inside a tall glass structure, Jax Forn stood at a window. He was tall and lean, with short dark hair and sharp eyes. He wore a black diplomatic coat, still marked with the old scars of war. A voice came through his communicator. "Jax," said Director Tanis, the head of Earth's diplomatic council, "you've been chosen. The Galactic Council is giving us one chance. You're going to Assyrian Prime." Jax didn't answer at first. He looked out at the red dust clouds. His past as a soldier came rushing back. Battles on Europa, the loss of his team, the peace he had tried to build after. He had left war behind. Or so he thought. "I'm not a politician," Jax said finally. "We don't need a politician," Tanis replied. "We need someone who knows how fragile peace really is." Jax turned away from the window. He knew what this mission meant. Billions of lives rested on his words. Earth, Mars, and the scattered colonies had no defense against the Council's full power. If he failed, humanity could be wiped out. He nodded slowly. "I'll go." Later that night, Jax sat alone in his room, packing a small bag. He placed a photo of his late squad inside. They had died trying to stop a pointless battle. This time, he whispered, "I speak with words, not weapons." The next morning, Jax boarded a sleek silver ship bound for Assyrian Prime. The engines lit up, and the vessel disappeared into the stars. Humanity had spoken through war long enough. Now it was time to speak through one voice. Jax Forn's ship emerged from hyperspace near Assyrian Prime. The sight before him took his breath away. The moon wasn't like Earth's moon. It shimmered like a jewel, covered in lights, towers, and floating platforms. Ships from 100 different species moved in careful patterns, guided by invisible traffic systems. Space itself felt calm and tense at once, like a courtroom in the stars. "Final approach," the pilot said, a quiet AI voice with a human accent. Jax stood by the window, watching as they descended. His hands were steady, but his thoughts were not. This wasn't a battlefield. There were no weapons in his hands, just words, and the hope they would be enough. They landed on a sleek pad surrounded by security drones. As he stepped out, Jax was met by a short, glowing being with 3 arms and no mouth. It spoke through a small floating orb. "Welcome, Envoy Forn. You will be escorted to the council wing. Follow and speak only when addressed." Jax nodded and followed. Inside the Galactic Council building, everything felt alien. The walls pulsed with light, not paint. The air was cool and full of soft music, meant to calm most species. Jax felt out of place. His human steps echoed on the smooth floor, alone among creatures with tentacles, wings and glowing eyes. When he entered the council wing, a deep silence fell. He walked down the center of the hall. High above, the council members watched from their seats. Some leaned in with curiosity. Others looked away, unimpressed. The High Speaker's voice echoed through the room. Jax Forn of Earth, you may speak. Jax took a breath and looked up. His voice was calm, steady. I come not to deny our mistakes, he said, but to ask for understanding. He spoke of Earth's short history in space, the mistakes made, the wars fought, the lessons learned. He admitted the mining accident. He explained that it was not an attack, but a result of human ignorance. We are new to the stars, he said, but we're not beyond reason. Give us time. Give us guidance. Don't erase us before we have a chance to grow. Silence followed. Then came a voice, cold and precise. It was Velos. You speak well, human, he said, but words are air. Your kind speaks of peace while building weapons. Your history is war. Why should we believe you? Jax met his gaze. Because I've seen war, he said, and I chose to leave it behind. That's why I'm here. To make sure no one else has to fight like we did. There were no cheers, no applause, just quiet murmurs among the delegates. The High Speaker spoke again. The Council will consider your words. You will remain on Aserion Prime until a decision is made. Jax gave a respectful nod and stepped back. After the session, Jax sat in a quiet waiting area, unsure if he had helped or failed. He was used to action, not waiting. Impressive, said a soft voice behind him. He turned to see a tall figure with smooth blue skin and large green eyes. She wore a light cloak and carried a tablet with glowing symbols. I'm Saralen, she said, delegate for the Onari people. You're the first human I've met. Then I hope I made a good first impression, Jax said, forcing a tired smile. She studied him with interest. You did better than most. Many delegates want war, but some want to believe you. Jax looked away. Belief won't stop a fleet. Saralen sat beside him. Maybe not, but truth can. You have more time. Use it well. That night, in a guest chamber high above the moon, Jax stood by a window. Below him, alien lights danced across the surface. Above, stars filled the sky. He didn't know if the council would listen, but for now at least, Earth had a voice. The next morning, Jax Forn sat in a chamber filled with silence and shifting lights. The council had not called another session yet. Delegates came and went, whispering in alien languages. Some glanced at him. Others ignored him. Jax felt the pressure building. His first speech was over, but he knew one speech wouldn't be enough. He sat alone at a viewing table, sipping a hot drink made from local plants. The taste was strange, but not unpleasant. A soft chime came from the table's console. It was a message, a coded one, not sent through official council channels. He tapped it open. The message was short. Fleet activity detected in Outer Sector 9. Authorization unknown. Origin, Council Defense Grid. Jax frowned. That sector wasn't near any known conflict zone, and only the Council had access to that defense system. He leaned closer and typed back. Who is this? No reply came. Later that day, Jax met again with Saralen. They sat in a garden under a dome filled with glowing vines and soft wind. I received a strange message, Jax said. Fleet movement. Off the record. No explanation. Saralen raised an eyebrow. From who? No name, just coordinates and timing. She looked thoughtful. Sector 9 is controlled by Commander Veilzer's fleet. No one questions what he does there. Jax leaned forward. You think he's moving ships without council permission? I don't think, Saralen said carefully. But if you want answers, speak to a technician, one who manages defense data. Can you get me access? She nodded. I can try, but be careful. The council doesn't like outsiders digging into fleet records. That evening, with Sarah Len's help, Jax entered a quiet data hall. It was cold, lined with glowing panels. A technician named Kari, from a species that saw light as sound, met them in a shadowed corner. "You want fleet logs," Kari whispered. "That's dangerous. I need to know if a war is already starting," Jax said. "I need proof." Kari hesitated, then placed a hand on a crystal pad. A list of encrypted files floated above them. Kari pointed to several entries marked with strange timing and no authorization code. "See those? That's a red flag. Someone is sending out destroyers, quietly. No official order." Jax stared at the screen. "Can you trace it?" Kari nodded. "Only one person has the rank and power to mask orders like this. Commander Veilzer." Jax felt cold. Veilzer wasn't waiting for a vote. He was preparing for war. Now, the next morning, Jax brought the information to a lower-ranking council advisor. She listened, but her eyes showed doubt. "This is a serious claim," she said. "Without hard proof, it sounds like fear-mongering." "I've seen this pattern before," Jax said. "Quiet movements. Hidden orders. Someone is planning a first strike. Earth won't have time to defend itself." She shook her head. "The council moves slowly. It cannot act on shadows." Jax left the meeting feeling frustrated. The council wanted calm, not truth. They feared shaking the peace more than they feared lies. Later, in the corridor near his quarters, Jax felt a presence behind him. He turned, and there stood Veilzer. The commander's tall silver form blocked the hall. His dark eyes were unreadable. "You dig where you should not," Veilzer said, voice flat. "You're moving ships, secretly." "That's not defense," Jax replied. Veilzer stepped closer. "The council grows weak. It waits while danger grows. I do not wait." "You're going to start a war," Jax said. "Not prevent one." Veilzer leaned close. "You may speak your words, but they will not stop what must be done." Then he turned and walked away, silent and sure. That night, Jax sat alone thinking. The message, the logs, the warning. This wasn't a debate anymore. It was a race, and time was running out. He opened a secure file and began to record everything he had found. If the council wouldn't listen now, maybe someone else would. Jax Forn woke to the sound of a warning chime. His room was dark, lit only by the pale glow of the city outside the window. He sat up quickly, heart racing. The door to his room had been forced open, not by a guard or a delegate, but by something silent. He reached under his bed and grabbed the small emergency beacon the council had issued him, but before he could press it, a thin energy dart struck the wall beside him. It missed by inches. Jax rolled to the floor, heart pounding, and hit the beacon. Red lights filled the room. Sirens blared down the hallway. Footsteps echoed. The intruder was gone before security arrived. A guard with 4 arms in metal armor stepped in. "You were targeted," the guard said simply. "I noticed," Jax replied, catching his breath. No one had ever told him this would be easy, but he didn't expect assassination. Later in a secure medical room, Jax sat with bandages on one shoulder where he'd been grazed by shrapnel. Sarah Len sat nearby, watching him closely. "You think it was Veilzer?" she asked. "He warned me," Jax said. "Then someone breaks into my room and tries to kill me. I don't believe in coincidences." Sarah Len's eyes narrowed. "The council may ignore whispers, but they can't ignore an open attack. This changes things." "Only if someone speaks up," Jax said. "Will you?" She hesitated. "If I do, I put my people at risk. But maybe it's time someone did." Jax looked away. He understood her fear. Peace always demanded more than just words. It demanded courage. Later that evening, Jax sat alone staring at the wall. Memories came back, sharp, painful. He saw himself at 20, in armor, crouched behind a ruined wall on Europa. Explosions had shaken the sky. He remembered shouting to his team, trying to lead them out of the fire. Then a blast. Fire. Silence. 6 of his friends died that day. He had lived. Not because he was stronger, but because luck chose him. After the war, he left the military. He didn't want to be a hero. He wanted peace, but peace, it turned out, needed fighters too, just of a different kind. The next morning, Jax met Cyrillenne near a quiet garden stream. Alien birds chirped in the distance. "We need to do more," Jax said. "Not wait, not hide. If Velzer launches those ships, Earth is finished." Cyrillenne nodded. "I made contact with a council technician. She's willing to help, but the data is locked. We'll have to go inside the communication hub to access it." "Isn't that off limits to visitors?" Jax asked. Cyrillenne smiled faintly. "That's why I didn't ask permission." For the first time in days, Jax almost smiled back. They moved at night. The council's data hub was buried deep beneath the surface of Assyrian Prime. Walls of glowing metal pulsed with life. Cyrillenne used her delegate access to bypass the outer gates. Inside, the air was cold and silent. Lights flickered as they stepped carefully down a curved hallway. A technician named Mira met them at a junction. She was short, pale, with 4 glowing eyes. She bowed quickly. "I downloaded part of the command logs," she said. "If I'm caught, I'll lose my post. But I believe you're right." She handed Jax a crystal disc. "Use this," she whispered. "The truth is inside." As they turned to leave, alarms blared. "They know," Cyrillenne said. Jax stuffed the disc into his coat. "Run." They sprinted down the hallway, turning corners, avoiding patrols. A drone spotted them, but Cyrillenne disabled it with a burst from her wristband. They burst into the open air moments later. The sky above was dark, full of stars, and council ships. Too many ships, too close together, too ready. Back in his room, breathless and sweating, Jax locked the door and inserted the crystal into his tablet. The data loaded slowly, but what it showed was clear. Fleet orders, launch codes, final attack patterns, all signed with Velzer's command key. Earth wasn't just in danger, it was next. The crystal disc glowed softly in Jax Forn's hands. The information it carried was dangerous. Orders for a secret attack on Earth, signed by Commander Velzer himself. Jax stared at the screen. "This is it," he said. "Proof." Cyrillenne stood behind him. "Enough to bring before the council." He nodded slowly. "They can't ignore this." Not now. But even as he said it, doubt filled his mind. Velzer was powerful, respected, feared. Many on the council supported him. Would they truly believe a human over him? Jax didn't have time to wonder. The longer they waited, the closer the fleet came to Earth. By morning, Jax stood in the central chamber of the Galactic Council again. The curved rows of alien delegates watched him with cold, quiet eyes. He stepped forward, holding the data disk in both hands. "I speak again," he said. "Not to ask for peace, but to warn of betrayal." He pressed a button, and the images floated in the air. Fleet logs, launch orders, movement commands, all with Velzer's signature. "This is not preparation," Jax said. "This is war, and it is being done without your vote, without your consent." A wave of murmurs moved through the chamber. The high speaker raised a hand. Silence. Velzer stood slowly. He didn't even look surprised. "This is a trick," he said calmly. "A desperate lie by a frightened species." Jax shook his head. "The data is real. You've already launched half the fleet. The rest are moving now. You want to erase Earth before the council can decide." Cyrillenne stood. "I confirmed the data," she said. "I helped retrieve it. Commander Velzer is acting alone." Now the silence in the chamber felt sharp. One delegate, long and silver with glowing red eyes, spoke up. "If this is true, it is treason." Velzer remained calm. "It is protection. The council waits, the human threat grows. I acted to prevent greater harm." The high speaker's voice echoed across the chamber. "You acted without our command." Velzer turned and walked out of the chamber without another word. Jax followed quickly, catching up with Cyrillenne in the hallway. "He's not going to stop," Jax said. "Even now." "Then we must stop him," she replied. They rushed to the communications center, this time with council approval. Inside, Mira, the technician who had helped them before, was already working. The fleet's core command systems are still listening, she said. If we send the right shutdown code, we can stop them. But we must act fast. How long until they reach Earth? Jax asked. Mira checked. 3 hours. Jax felt a cold weight settle in his chest. Then let's move. As Mira worked, Jax sat down at a broadcast console. I want to speak to the council, he said. One last time. He activated the chamber's public address system. A glowing lens floated in front of him, recording everything. He looked into it and began. I was a soldier once, he said. I saw lives lost, not because of hate, but because of fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of change. That fear is guiding us now. He paused. Velzer fears what humanity might become. But fear doesn't justify murder. It doesn't justify silencing a voice before it learns to speak. He looked directly into the lens. Humanity is not perfect. We've made mistakes, but we've also learned. We've tried. And now when we reach for peace, someone tries to swat us down like a threat. That is not justice. That is fear pretending to be strength. He turned to Sirelen. She gave a firm nod. Jax faced the camera again. I'm asking you all, don't let this happen. Not just for Earth, but for every voice that is still growing in this galaxy. We all started small. We all made mistakes. Let us grow. He ended the transmission. Transmission complete, Mira said. The council has it, and I've found the shutdown signal. Sending it now. A soft beep filled the air. They waited. Did it work? Jax asked. Mira smiled slowly. Yes. The ships are standing down. Earth is safe. Jax exhaled. His hands trembled slightly as he leaned on the console. Sirelen placed a hand on his shoulder. You did it. We did it. In the distance, alarms fell silent. Peace for now had returned. The council chamber was silent. Not a word, not a breath. Jax Vorn's message had just ended. His voice still echoed in the minds of delegates across the galaxy. From the smallest moons to the largest star stations, every council representative had heard him, and now they had to decide. In the chamber, the high speaker rose. Their voice was steady, cold, and ancient. We have received confirmation. Commander Valazur's fleet has been ordered to stand down. No weapons were fired, no worlds harmed, but this betrayal cannot be ignored. One by one, delegates spoke. Some called for Valazur's arrest. Others demanded he be stripped of his rank. A few, loyal to him, remained silent. But no one defended what he had done. Far above the chamber, Jax stood with Sirelen and Mira in the observation deck, watching the debate unfold on a large screen. Will they punish him? Jax asked. Sirelen crossed her arms. They have to. If they don't, everything this council stands for is a lie. Jax looked at her. You believed in them more than I did. I believed in you, she said quietly. Before Jax could respond, an alert flashed on the screen. Valazur's ship, the command cruiser Orasel's Edge, was leaving Asarion space. He's trying to escape, Mira said. Do we have control of the defense grid? Jax asked. Not full control, Mira replied. But enough to stop him, if the council authorizes it. Back in the chamber, the high speaker spoke again. Commander Valazur has violated the trust of this council. The vote begins now. Dozens of lights blinked around the room. Yes or no, trust or justice. The result appeared within seconds. Guilty. The high speaker raised a hand. All council forces are ordered to detain Valazur. Bring him back. Alive. Jax watched as small interceptor ships launched from nearby defense stations. They moved fast, coordinated, cutting off the fleeing vessel. Minutes passed. Then a calm voice came over the chamber's communication system. Orasel's Edge has surrendered. Valazur is in custody. The news spread quickly across the galaxy. People and species who had never heard of Earth now knew its name. Not as a threat, but as the home of the envoy who spoke and was heard. Jax was called back into the council hall one final time. He stood once more at the center of the great circle. This time, the silence felt different. Not cold, but thoughtful. The High Speaker addressed him directly. Jax Forn of Earth. You were sent here to speak. You have done more. You exposed a betrayal, defended your people, and reminded us all why this council was created. For that we offer our recognition. A soft light shone from the ceiling, covering Jax like a quiet crown. You have earned Earth a place in this council. Not full membership, but a seat at the table. A beginning. Jax nodded. Thank you. On behalf of Earth, I accept. The chamber pulsed with light, approval from every corner of the council. Later that evening, Jax and Sci-Fi stood beneath a glass dome overlooking the stars. The moon below them glowed silver and blue. It's strange, Jax said. Peace doesn't feel like a victory. It feels like a breath after drowning. Sci-Fi smiled. That's because peace is never finished. It's something we must keep choosing, over and over. He looked at her. What will you do now? I asked for a new assignment, she said. Ambassador to Earth. I want to learn more about your people. Jax gave a soft laugh. They're noisy. They fight too much. But they care. They dream big. I look forward to seeing that for myself. Jax nodded. Then I guess I'll see you there. The next morning, Jax boarded a transport ship bound for Mars. As the vessel lifted from the council's landing pad, he stared out at the stars. He had come to speak for humanity. Now humanity had been heard. The stars above Mars looked the same, but to Jax Forn, everything had changed. His ship touched down on the red planet with a quiet hum. He stepped out into the thin, dry air and walked across the landing pad. The sky was hazy with dust, and the red ground stretched for miles. But today it didn't feel empty. People were waiting. A small group of diplomats and citizens stood near the dome's edge. Cameras floated in the air, recording his return. Director Tanis was among them, dressed in a dark coat and wearing a rare smile. You made it back, she said. Jax nodded. Barely. You stopped a war, Jax. Earth owes you everything. He shook his head. Earth still has work to do. The council gave us a seat, but not trust. We'll have to earn that. Tanis looked around. You've already started. Inside the Mars Capitol dome, Jax gave a short speech to the Terran Alliance. He spoke of the council's decision, of the betrayal stopped, the risk taken, and the doors now open. He told them the truth. Humanity had been judged, not perfect, not innocent, but worthy of a chance. Not everyone cheered. Some people feared the council. Others still wanted Earth to stand alone. But for the first time in years, peace didn't feel like a dream. It felt possible. A few days later, Jax walked through the dusty garden trails near his old home on the Martian ridge. The sky was dim. The wind quiet. Sarah Len had arrived on Earth's moon station the day before, preparing to travel down to meet world leaders. She had sent him a short message. The view from your moon is cold, but hopeful. I'll see you soon. He smiled at the words. For a long time Jax had fought with weapons. Now he fought with words, with truth, and with trust. It was harder. It was slower, but it was the kind of battle he believed in. He sat on a stone bench, looking at the stars. There were still dangers ahead. There would be mistakes, setbacks, and new threats. Peace was never perfect. But this time, they had chosen it. The galaxy had changed, and so had humanity. Jax closed his eyes for a moment, and breathed in the thin Martian air. The war that almost came, had passed. Now came something even harder. Building the future.